Ethan had always lived a quiet life. His small room in the edge of the colony apartments overlooked the vast plains of the settlement on Halicon 7, one of humanity's newest frontier worlds. He liked the quiet, the way the wind swept over the ridges, the distant hum of automated drones maintaining the outer perimeter. Life was simple, predictable. Until she arrived, it started subtly. At first, Ethan thought he was imagining things. A fleeting shadow that didn't belong to his own reflection. A faint perfume-like scent in the air he could not name. He would wake in the middle of the night, his heart racing, only to find the room as he had left it. He told himself it was stress. He had been working late on the colony's communication systems, and isolation had a way of playing tricks on the mind. Then it became undeniable. One night, just past 2 a.m., the room shimmered. The air vibrated faintly, like the faint hum of an engine at a distance. And in the corner where no one should have been, she appeared. Ethan froze. She was tall, slender, and her skin seemed to shimmer with faint patterns of light, almost like the stars reflected on water. Her hair moved as if caught in a gentle, invisible breeze, and her eyes, deep and liquid, scanned the room with cautious curiosity. Ethan wanted to speak, to ask her what she was, but no words came. He only watched as she moved slowly, fingertips brushing over his tools, lingering over a notebook he had left open. Then, just as suddenly as she had appeared, she was gone. The air settled back into stillness and the faint scent lingered, a mixture of rain, minerals, and something faintly sweet. It was the smell of places he could not name. He checked the room. Nothing had been disturbed, except for a single metallic pendant on his desk that he knew had not been there before. It was delicate, shaped like a miniature galaxy. He held it in his hand, turning it over. It felt warm, and he could not explain why, but he felt a strange comfort from it. The next night, the same thing happened. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the room shimmered and she appeared. This time, Ethan had prepared himself. He did not speak. He simply watched as she moved, studying the small, familiar details of his life. The small bookshelf with tattered human novels, the worn blanket draped over his chair, the small window overlooking the endless plains. She looked at these things as if seeing them for the first time. When she noticed Ethan watching, her eyes widened slightly. Then she spoke, a voice soft but layered like the hum of multiple instruments in harmony. "I did not mean to disturb you," she said. Her accent was strange, almost musical, but entirely understandable. "This place, it calls me. I do not know why, only that I come here." Ethan swallowed, finally finding his voice. Who are you?" Her gaze softened. "I am Leora. I come from a world, not quite your own. A world that overlaps yours in ways you cannot see." He frowned, confused. "Overlaps? You mean another planet?" She shook her head. "Not another planet. Another dimension. A world folded into yours, parallel yet separate. And somehow your room, your presence, creates a point where I can cross over. But only here, only now." Ethan tried to make sense of her words. He had studied physics, engineering, and even basic quantum mechanics for his work on communication towers. But the idea of a person appearing from another dimension, leaving behind a scent, a presence, and then disappearing without a trace, it was beyond anything he had ever imagined. "I don't understand," he admitted. "Why me?" She hesitated, her eyes scanning the room again. "I do not know. Perhaps it is your energy, or the way your world resonates with mine. Only here do the folds align, only here can I come." Nights passed. Each night she returned. Each night she moved silently, leaving behind faint traces, fingerprints on his tools, a single misplaced notebook, the lingering scent that made the air feel warmer, softer. Ethan began to anticipate her arrival, even though part of him feared it. He had never felt this way before, a mixture of wonder, fear, and something like companionship. One night he decided to take a risk. He stayed awake, pretending to sleep, and when the shimmer came, he reached out. Her hand hovered near his arm. She froze. For the first time, she did not vanish immediately. You touched me," she whispered, awe and caution in her tone. "I just wanted to see if you're real," Ethan said. "I don't want to imagine you anymore." She smiled faintly. "I am real, and yet, not entirely. My body is a reflection of energy, shaped by thought and memory. When I cross over, a part of me lingers. That scent, the warmth you feel, it is a trace of me, a memory left behind. It should not be possible, but here we are." Ethan's mind raced. So if you keep coming, it could change things? She looked worried. It might. The longer I remain here, the more my energy interacts with yours. I do not fully understand the consequences, but something keeps drawing me. Something I cannot resist. Their conversations grew longer. She told him about her world, a place of floating crystalline cities, skies filled with swirling auroras, beings who existed partly as energy and partly as matter. She told him about her work, studying dimensional resonance, the subtle ways worlds overlapped, and the risks of crossing boundaries. Yet she always came back to him, to this small room. To this quiet corner of Halicon 7, Ethan shared his own stories. Life in the colony, the isolation, the small joys of repairing broken machines, the beauty of a sunrise across endless plains. Leora listened, fascinated by his simplicity, by the persistence of human curiosity. She said she had never met a being like him before, one so grounded, so alive, yet capable of seeing beyond her shimmering reality. But the nights began to change. Sometimes she appeared trembling, her form flickering like a disturbed reflection in water. Ethan noticed subtle changes in the room's energy. His equipment flickered, his tools vibrated, and the scent she left behind grew stronger, almost overwhelming. I may be destabilizing your world, she admitted one night, fear in her voice. I never meant to, I just cannot stop coming. Ethan reached out, taking her hand gently. Then we find a way, he said. Together. She looked at him, eyes shining with a mix of hope and worry. I do not know if we can. The resonance between our worlds is fragile. If it breaks, both our realities could suffer. The thought made Ethan shiver. He had grown attached to her, to the nights when her presence made the room feel alive, when her curiosity reminded him that the universe was larger than he had ever imagined. He could not let her go, and yet he feared what might happen if she stayed. One night she appeared, and the shimmer in the air was brighter than ever. She looked exhausted, her form unstable, almost fading. Ethan, I do not know how much longer I can hold this, she whispered. If I stay, your world, our worlds, might collapse. Ethan stepped closer. Then I'll find a way. We'll figure this out, but you're not leaving alone. Her eyes softened. You do not understand. I am not like you. I cannot survive long in your reality. My body, my energy, it reacts differently here. If I remain too long, I might not return at all. They stood in silence, the air vibrating around them, a mix of fear and wonder. Ethan felt a deep connection, not just to her presence, but to her essence. Something that transcended form, space, and even logic. Then, suddenly, a bright flash of light filled the room. The air shimmered violently. Ethan reached out, but she was already beginning to fade. I will come back, she whispered, and then she was gone. The room settled into silence once more. The scent lingered faintly, softer than before, like a promise that she had not truly left. Ethan sank onto his bed, heart racing, mind alive with possibilities he had never considered. He did not know what the future held, whether she would return, or whether their worlds would suffer from their connection. But one thing was certain. He could not go back to the quiet life he had before. Something had changed. Something vast, mysterious, and extraordinary had entered his world, and he would never be the same again. And somewhere, in the folds of space and time, Leora was thinking of him too, pulled toward him by something she did not understand but could not resist. Ethan woke with a start, the memory of Leora's last words still vivid in his mind. The faint shimmer of her presence lingered in the corner of his room, fading slowly, leaving behind the faint scent of rain and starlight. He held the small crystal she had left, the one that pulsed softly with her energy. Somehow it felt alive, like a heartbeat captured in stone. He turned it over in his hands, wondering how something so small could carry such power, such presence. The nights passed differently after that. He kept the crystal on his bedside table, and each evening he found himself staring at it, hoping, waiting. And then one night it happened. A ripple ran across the room, a subtle vibration in the air that made every hair on his body stand on end. The temperature dropped, and then with a shimmer of violet light, the air itself seemed to fold. Leora appeared more solid than ever, her form stable yet brighter, filled with the glow of the world she had come from. I thought I wouldn't see you again, Ethan said. voice trembling, unsure if he was awake or dreaming. "I came," Leora replied softly, her eyes searching his. "The crystal, it called to me. Your world, your presence. It is stronger than I expected." I could feel it reaching through the fold. Ethan held out his hand. "Then stay. Please don't go. We'll figure this out together." She hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes. "If I stay, the energy between our worlds could tear. Your world, my world, they might collapse." "I'll take that risk," Ethan said firmly. "I'd rather face the danger with you than live without knowing you." For a moment her expression softened, hope and fear mingling in her gaze. "Very well," she said. "But we must be careful. There are things you do not yet understand about my world, about the resonance that links us." Ethan nodded, determined. They spent the night talking, exploring the boundaries of her knowledge. She explained that her world existed partially out of phase with his. Matter and energy there could overlap with his reality, but only in specific locations, moments, and under certain conditions. His room had become one such point, an accidental intersection where their worlds resonated in harmony. That resonance had pulled her to him time and again, leaving traces of her scent, her memory, her energy. "I do not know why it is you," she admitted. "There are many humans, many places, but only you have created a link strong enough for me to appear." Ethan felt warmth spread through him. "Maybe. Some things just choose each other," he said softly. Days passed and their bond grew stronger. Leora's visits became longer, and she began to explore beyond the room. Together they wandered the halls of the colony at night, careful not to be seen. She marveled at the simplicity of human life, at the sound of wind through the plains, at the quiet determination of people living on the frontier. Ethan, in turn, learned about her world. She described floating crystalline cities that reflected the light of three suns, rivers of energy flowing like molten glass, and forests that shimmered with every hue of the spectrum. One night, while they stood together on the edge of the colony's observation tower, she said, "I want you to see my world, but it is dangerous. Crossing fully into my dimension requires a resonance strong enough to hold you, or you will dissipate." Ethan's heart raced. "Then I'll hold on, I'll follow you anywhere." She studied him for a long moment. "Then trust me," she said, placing her hand on his chest, just above his heart. "This is the only way." The next moment, the air rippled violently, the stars outside the observation window twisting and bending. Ethan felt himself lifted, weightless, the world dissolving around him. He felt a pull at the core of his being, as though every atom in his body was being stretched, reshaped, and transported. And then, with a flash of violet light, the stars disappeared, replaced by a sky filled with colors he had never imagined. They stood together on a platform made of translucent crystal floating in midair. The sky above swirled with ribbons of energy, and below them, landscapes twisted in impossible geometries, mountains that curved upward like spirals, rivers of light, forests glowing in patterns that danced with the wind. Ethan could feel the pulse of energy under his feet like the heartbeat of the world itself. Leora took his hand, her touch steady, grounding him. "Welcome," she said. "This is my world, and now yours too, if you can hold on to the resonance." He looked around, awestruck. "It's beautiful." She smiled, then her expression darkened. "But dangerous. The scientists here, my people, they will not accept you. They believe a human's presence could disrupt the balance of our world. They might try to separate us, to erase the connection. We must be careful." Ethan felt a mix of fear and determination. "Then we'll face them together." Over the following days, he learned to move through her world, guided by Leora. She taught him to sense the resonance, to feel the energy that connected his atoms to hers to the world itself. Slowly, he began to understand the complexity of her dimension, the delicate balance of forces that held it together. Each step he took was careful, each breath measured, but the sense of wonder never left him. One day, as they explored a crystalline forest, a group of beings approached. They shimmered like light refracted through water, their forms elegant and otherworldly. Leora's hand tightened on his. "They are the scientists of my world," she whispered. "They will question you. They may try to remove you. Be ready." The beings circled them, their voices a chorus of harmonic tones that resonated in Ethan's mind. "You should not be here," one of them said, eyes like liquid silver. "Your presence risks imbalance. Return to your own world, human." Ethan stepped forward, trying to meet their gaze. "I am here with her. I mean no harm. I only want to understand, to be part of this connection, not destroy it." The lead scientist regarded him for a long moment, then with a gesture motioned for the others to step back. "You are different," the voice said. "Your energy resonates unusually with hers. Perhaps there is a way." Leora smiled faintly, relief in her eyes. "See, some things can be changed." Together they worked to stabilize the resonance, Ethan using his understanding of physics, Leora using her mastery of energy, and slowly, the pulses between their worlds harmonized. The crystal he held became brighter, glowing steadily, a tangible link between the dimensions. Days turned into nights and nights into days, yet time felt different here. Every moment was vivid, stretching out with possibility. Ethan and Leora explored the wonders of her world, floating gardens that hummed with life, rivers of liquid, light where reflections could show the future, cities suspended in mid-air connected by bridges of pure energy. Through it all their bond grew stronger, built on trust, curiosity, and the thrill of discovery. Yet they never forgot the danger. The scientists continued to monitor them, cautious but intrigued. They could not interfere completely, not with Ethan's resonance now intertwined with Leora's own energy. But they reminded him constantly that the balance remained fragile. One evening, as they watched a double sunset over a crystalline canyon, Leora turned to him. "I never expected to feel this way," she said softly. "Coming here was never supposed to be personal. But now, you are part of my world as much as I am part of yours." Ethan took her hand. "And you're part of mine. I don't care about the danger. I don't care about the unknown. I only care about you." She smiled, a warmth in her eyes that he had never seen before. "Then we will face it together. Whatever comes, we will endure." And so they did. Together, they learned to navigate the complexity of her dimension, bridging worlds with patience, trust, and courage. The resonance between them became a symbol of possibility, that even in the vastness of the universe, two beings from different worlds could connect, could care for one another, and could leave a trace that endured across space, time, and reality. Ethan's nights were no longer lonely, and when he looked at the crystal on his bedside table, pulsing gently with a familiar glow, he smiled. Somewhere beyond the veil of his reality, Leora was thinking of him, and he of her, and together they had made the impossible real. In the end, it was not the power of technology or science that mattered. It was the courage to reach across worlds, the willingness to trust, and the quiet persistence of the human heart, and Leora's own, that made the connection unbreakable. And though the future remained uncertain, Ethan knew one thing. No matter the risk, no matter the danger, he would never let her go.